Why movie stars are movie stars? They are literally exploding with energy.
People have to realize it is your first and last interaction with people that is essentially starts with communication, ends with communication at the end of the day.
Career development for me is like fundamentally related with the personal development. You cannot grow up career-wise if you haven't done that internal job.
I am using tools from cinema, acting, business narrative, psychology, and conditioning, combining all together in one experiment which is called Shift. Basically, a conditioning programming for your communication skills. So you build your nervous system, you gradually stress your nervous system to be prepared to perform in any circumstances and to feel good and to feel excited about it.
For communication especially, you have a lot of anxiety, you have fear of rejection, you have fear of embarrassment, all of this stuff, going back to your points of vulnerability. And again, you have to be aware of those. When you're aware of those, when you get the training and you consistently practice after you're out of the classroom, that is an ideal case scenario.
You play different roles, and that's okay. I believe that this is critical for survive this world that we're living, especially now. So you have to play. We're all in a little bit of an actors in our lives.
You can be a great performer, a great CEO, a great politician, a great whatever you want, but you can shift. Why we are not shifting? That's the question.
The Recursive Roundtable. 3 voices, 1 idea to decode the future.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Recursive Roundtable. Today we have a very special episode and we'll talk about the art of communication. And we have 3 different guests from different fields, but they share something specific, something very unique. And I will let them introduce themselves with a short pitch. Maybe you can do it this way. Start with Boryana.
All right. Well, I'm Boryana. I'm glad to be here, and it's a really nice environment, finishing, the successful week so far. I'm in the recruitment realm, let's put it that way, for more than maybe 15 years. I studied journalism and mass communication, speaking about communication, but my life turned out a little bit more to the sales, advertisement, and, in that realm. So, funny or not, I found that the recruitment is something that I want to do, to attract people, to sell ideas, to sell opportunities, to inspire, to change lives. So this is how I end up in recruitment. And while I was growing in my career, the last few years, I'm heavily stepping into the iGaming world, another field that is, booming right now, and for a few years already, especially during COVID. So my mission is to build strong teams across the globe, establish entirely new divisions also, and to understand about, the culture, the communication within the team, so I can be a trusted business advisor and to, find the right talent to join us. In parallel, because I'm inspired of, people and communication and psychology, all of that stuff, I invested my time and, efforts, everything to certify in ACF. This is the International Coaching Federation. So I'm certified coach. So in the parallel, I'm doing something that is related in my life mission, basically to coach the people about their career development, progression. I'm working with startups and also with people coming from the corporate world that wants to make the step, like we were talking about the steps. So yeah, this is me, and this is my career and how it developed in a logical way in my head.
It's awesome. Thank you. Do you want me to go on? All right. Well, I'm Konstantin Kunev. I'm currently the CEO of Future Unicorns, which is an accelerator based out of San Francisco, whose goal is to provide Central Eastern European founders and their startups with a go-to-market strategy for the US market. That's short and sweet. But previously, I was, for the last 16 years, a corporate HR, which is another interesting change. Until you hear that before that, very similar to you, I started studying hydroengineering.
Wow.
And my career organically grew because when I started working, I asked myself, okay, I need to work something while I'm studying, but the only thing I do is I can speak English and that's it. So I started a call center and people started giving me the new recruits to train them. And so I became a trainer and that's how I became an HR, more or less. But I've been doing this for the last 16 years. I did start up my own company about 3 years ago called Bolster HR. It is essentially a fractional HR services company. So we essentially build processes and policies and practices and then implement them for clients that want to grow reasonably their organizations, but don't have maybe the capacity or the need for a full-time HR at the moment. And as a mission statement, I think you had a mission statement, and we talked earlier about the steps. I don't have really a mission statement, but I have a sort of a philosophy that you need to change constantly, which is how I somehow became from a aspiring engineer to an HR and now to an entrepreneur and someone that deals with startups on a daily basis. So I guess my goal is to change again, and whoever knows how and when.
Nice, guys. The bar is high.
Nice. Thank
Top
you.
communicators in the room, throwing the ball to each other and then just dance. That's amazing. It's so rare to see people just play with words and stories. When we're talking about stories, there was like many years ago, I was in a train station in Kiev, where I was like around 5 or 6. And because my mother is Ukrainian, every summer we were traveling like for 5 or 6 days, because my hometown in Bulgaria is basically on the border with Greece. So imagine you have to pass Bulgaria, then pass Romania, then go back to the Valchans, which is on the border with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So you just transpassing cultures, countries, whatever. And as a very young kid, this is extremely boring. No phones, no
Right.
music,
Right.
silence. Your brother to your right side, but you cannot stand his voice anymore because for 2 days, you cannot stand the sound of the voice. And I was sitting there on a suitcase, desperately bored, like really painfully bored. I was struggling. It was cold, despite that it was summer. And then one guy, a very tall gentleman, I don't remember his face, but his silhouette was like as if he's coming from a different place, different world, different reality, stepped in front of me, a really tall man. And he gave me a flag, a small flag. In my generation, there was like USSR flags.
Right.
Red with yellow, the symbols and everything. And because I was bored, and he just said to me, "Kid, take it and play with it." And that I remember, and it was in Russia. And I took it and I started to play with the flag because I was extremely bored. And all of a sudden, I was transported to a different reality. I was a cowboy. I was shooting Indians. I was Bruce Lee fighting. And I discovered a completely different word, which is called imagination. And by just doing that without theorizing and knowing anything about these methods of meditation, dynamic meditation, visualization, you are just doing it, having fun. And after 10, 15 years, I was completely fulfilled. I didn't want to study. I didn't want to move from Rudozem, a very small place in the Rodopi Mountains. I was enlightened. Basically, I was super happy, self-sufficient. And my mother said to me, No, Andrey, you study in university, and then you're gonna do whatever you want. But you have to take a bachelor degree. And I was like, oh my God, all right. So what I'm gonna study? She's a mathematician. I hate maths. I'm very bad in writing Bulgarian, very ugly writings. My teacher said 6, all the best, but because it's so ugly, I won't read it. So you have to tell me what you have written, you know. And I had to perform what I have written down. So anyway, I couldn't apply to university with Bulgarian language. I didn't know English when I was graduating in 11 degree. And then I decided to study math, but to study with math something which doesn't have anything to do with math.
What was that?
That's which year?
Yeah.
2001.
And what did you study at the end? What was that?
I love
that you
nature
studied?
because I was
Okay.
into spirituality, meditation, castaneda, you know, going to
Right.
the forest, speaking with the birds, speaking with the trees, stay there. You know, like celibacy. You are absolutely insane because my imagination was so much triggered from this practice. My family thought that I'm nuts. They were observing, my brother was observing me because I was hiding in my room, playing with the pen. And I'm going somewhere else, literally for hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a little mad shit. But anyway, long story short, I enrolled in University of Forestry and I studied ecology. And I become environmental consultant and I work as an ecologist. But all of a sudden, it gets so boring because I love to be in nature, national parks, wherever, but I was in the office working with assessing the risk in environmental impact assessments, bureaucracy, paperwork, Word, documents. Bullshit, I don't like it. So we decided to cut this, to change profession, and to study filmmaking.
All right.
And I went to Ireland, study filmmaking, and I became a filmmaker. Which I was basically because with my imagination, I was just creating movies.
Yeah.
But you're a filmmaker, not an actor, right? Because that impersonation of your mother was not really good. I'm not sure she would appreciate
She
it.
won't watch it,
Yeah.
don't worry. She won't watch it, you know. She's much more like, but with Ukrainian accent. I have a Ukrainian accent.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I studied filmmaking. I became a filmmaker. I believe that I'm a filmmaker. My teachers in professors in Dublin, they said, who the fuck are you? You're 26. You're from Bulgaria with background and backstory, which doesn't make any sense to study film. Why? I said, this story again. I got this flag and I play with the flag and I see pictures, I see movies. So my imagination is working in these narratives. I became a filmmaker. I did 2 feature films. One of the most daring and groundbreaking, provocative movie in Bulgarian history. The first sex scene between 2 girls in the Bulgarian history.
Which movie was
No one.
No
Haven't
one?
seen?
Yeah, it's in HBO. You
Oh,
can watch
really?
it. Yeah, you can watch it.
Wow, congrats on
But
that.
that's not the most important because it's about spiritual awakenings through sex. And that's from the perspective of the woman's perspective. So it's a very crazy story. Did another movie, did documentaries, and I ended up here in Recursive because the COVID killed cinema. With my second feature film, we just premiered, and 1 week after that, COVID shut down all of the cinemas. So, you know, I had to just again change gears, and I ended doing storytelling for corporates.
But now you have a new role also within the recursive.
Yeah, everything is just step by step is building towards, everything is connecting, building, you know, how the information is growing and insight after insights. And now I'm stepping in the shoes of a shapeshifter, which is basically, I am using tools from cinema, acting, business narratives, psychology, and conditioning,
All right.
combining all together in one experiment, which is called Shift, which is basically a conditioning programming for your communication skills. So you build your nervous system, you gradually stress your nervous system to be prepared to perform in any circumstances and to
Okay.
deliver amazing performance and to feel good and to feel excited about it.
This sounds innovative, interesting.
You all have something in common. You started studying.
It sounds nuts also. You said earlier that your parents thought you were nuts, but I think when you're thinking about connecting all these different elements
yeah.
into one thing, you really gotta be a bit nuts, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And also too bad for your professor from Dublin, because when you were talking, I thought, well, George Lucas was riding fast cars when he was 16, and at 17 he became a filmmaker because he liked fast cars, and you liked your flag, right? That's the thing. So, yeah, kudos for that.
But you all have this thing in common, that you studied something different initially, then you switched, you shifted your careers. So, in your opinion, is communication skills more a talent? Being a good communicator, is it a talent or a skill that you can master? What do you think?
Well, if I would start, and I definitely can say that a lot of people are inherently able to communicate better and to feel more comfortable when they have to communicate, whether it's in a private setting or in a public setting, etc. That's definitely something that is a behavioral predisposition within humans. However, there's so much more you can do to improve that, or for people that don't have these aptitudes to actually start and develop. That's interesting as HRs, and I think as a colleague, you might also agree that when we're advising businesses about what candidates to hire, even, you need to focus so much more on the behavior side of a candidate, because you can't really work with the behavior as easily. It's not changeable over a week or two, a month, or with the training. But skills, and especially communication skills, I definitely have had my experience. I've definitely seen those develop. I myself work on my own because I have my deficiencies as well. And it's a continuous process at the end of the day, right? I think what Andrey maybe has deficiencies in one set, I think he immediately overcompensates and overshadows everything with storytelling ability, right?
No, then why?
Even if we recap, like you told us where you started your career, etc., etc. I said my career, etc., etc. He started with a story, right?
Exactly.
And that's
storytelling.
And that's much more powerful at the end of the day.
But okay, I'm here to give knowledge for free.
Strong statement.
Teacher sensei.
No, but that's good. It's like, if somebody is watching now, I started with the story not by chance.
Mm-hmm.
That's purposeful. I share my vulnerability,
Mm.
my weaknesses, which is a true story, but it requires courage to play your mother, to play with your mother, It requires a courage. It requires awareness as well. And the knowledge is about awareness. It's not rocket science. It's so simple. If you become transparent and expose your vulnerability, this is one of the most powerful way to connect with people, because this is how people connect through vulnerability. This is the biggest human sign that you are a human, not a chat or robot. Because robots, they don't have feelings and weaknesses.
It's true.
Yeah.
So in order to connect, you have to be vulnerable, but not in terms of pity yourselves. You're vulnerable to the fact that you can get insights from your vulnerability. And that was what happened. I decided to change my career and to become a filmmaker because from the vulnerability point of view. So, there's a framework, storytelling frameworks, but actually it's not because storytelling is something magical or only people who are working in the creative industry can do. No, everyone has insights. Like today, what was your insight? 5-second insight. What happened today? And you get like, wow, that's a profound. Do you have from today? Think a bit.
Let me think.
5 seconds. Like something was happened and you were like, oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Revelation.
I don't know. It's related with candidates at my
tell us.
job, work.
Yeah.
We had. I was participating in a final interview with our VP of engineering, and the person was very technical person. So usually the tech people, they are lacking skills of communication, but they are strong in another aspect, like you said, Kostya. So. And this person is going to be a manager. So we're looking also for that skills, for that leadership, for that to take ownership on situations and lead people, literally. And I was very hesitant that he has that. But from I don't know which pocket, he found that power and he really surprised us.
What he
How he turned back a little bit of a edgy question back to the VP, and our VP, he's amazing person, but he can be tough, you know. And when we have interviews with people, he's really giving them a hard time. Then after that, he's smiling and everything, but he's trying to choose the best. So this person returned to him with, you know, challenging question. He disagreed with him. They started arguing in a way. So I was okay, my job is done here. That's the person we give him, because I saw that the colleague, he liked him, and this means that okay, when we put such team member in the team, most likely he will succeed with the other 20 tech guys that he has to lead. So this was my 5-second wow moment when I understood, oh, okay, he got the, can I say balls?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he got the ball. So I was happy about that.
To be there and to stand.
He stand up for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
How do you train that quality to be able to stand up for yourself, be
right.
able to communicate, to have balls? You can train that.
Yeah. To me, when we are talking career development, I mentioned about the coaching. Career development for me is like fundamentally related with the personal development. You cannot grow up career-wise, no matter in corporation or build your own business, make your own film. If you haven't grown up personally, if you haven't done that internal job, it's difficult. So it is hand-by-hand situation. Going more, concrete to your question, I believe is by setting up your own boundaries and defending that in front of your family, wife, kids, I don't know, the professional in the beauty salon. No, I want that appointment. Don't change it, you know. Stand up for yourself in a kind and a kind manner. Let's not be rude people. It's not about that. But put boundaries and stay behind them. Very often, you know, there is a moment where we have to expand these boundaries. People, they have, in my opinion, they have issues with that as well, because they are thinking that, oh, I'm breaking my boundaries, so I'm doing something bad. I will not take a step back on this. I'll be here and nothing is changing. No compromises. It's not about that. Very often in my coaching sessions, I'm doing something super silly. This keep it simple, KISS abbreviation. I'm giving them a handband, that the elastic one, the rubber one. It's super elementary, not elementary, high school, like the rubber band, simple, right? And I'm telling them, all right, whenever you feel that you're breaking up a boundary of yourself, just pull it and see that you're not breaking the rubber, you're just expanding your boundaries.
Stretching out, yeah.
Stretch out, exactly. Like shake it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not necessary to break it. You won't harm yourself or the others. Just, okay, try to stretch. If it works for you, if you're happy, go ahead. You're still keeping your boundaries. So maybe this is how it's growing. But first should come from the person, the job that we are doing internally, and then you can perform it at work.
Konstantin, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I first wanted to piggyback on her example with the candidate, because when I was hearing from the side, and you were talking a lot about, maybe most technical people don't have the best communication skills, but also when you're looking for them for a managerial position, again, no offense to any engineers here, but they very rarely want to take account for other people's work. They're very happy to code their own thing. They think they're best in that. And that's really, being assertive. And again, if he was able to also communicate in such an assertive way, then the candidate was very sure and certain in their own capacity to not just own their work, but also the work of others potentially. So I think that was a very good example. Sounds like a good candidate. This is all I'm saying. You should send him an offer.
I think you'll get
But can we back to the origin of the question again?
Yeah, how do you train your communication skills?
Oh, okay, right. So I'd say there are a few ways, but whatever way you choose, I think it should very much take into consideration who you are or what group you're training, or if you have a team and you want to help them out, you need to be very aware of who you're working with. I want to give a quick example because I was also struggling, having. I'll give you a setting. In most tech companies, when you have like a project manager, like a meeting of a project, like a status report or whatever, there's usually a project manager, maybe product owner, couple of senior engineers, couple of junior engineers. Usually we have only 3 people speaking, even though it's like 15 people in the meeting, right? Right. It's usually the most senior ones, the more vocal ones, the one that either have these communication abilities inherent, or maybe they've trained them, or maybe there is a third side, which is don't really care about communication. I'll say what I want without caring. And as you said, you could be rude, you could be, crossing boundaries, whatever it is. So I approached it from, again, a very simple, childish example. The reason why I started studying construction in the first place is that I come from a family without a lot of money, but my parents would always buy me every year a Lego set for playing because it's an intelligent toy, yada, yada. And so I started working with the blocks as a kid, and here I am applying for high school, and I did end up in the civil engineering high school here in Sofia. So 20 years later, I'm a trainer, and there is this methodology called Lego Serious Play, which it's created by the Lego group. They use it to resolve actual business cases. And so I went through that. I became a facilitated trainer. I thought, okay, how do I use that in a daily setting, right? And so I started working with the teams at the company I was to train the project managers and the team leaders to lead their meetings through Lego Serious Play, essentially to help people that don't have these inherent communication skills and don't have maybe this training that they had, to still have the opportunity to express themselves in a short form setting. So Lego Serious Play essentially allows you to very quickly, very briefly communicate maybe complex ideas through a short form metaphor storytelling, which is very helpful. And literally, you go for 15 minutes with 15 people. Everyone has 1 minute. Everybody says anything, because in that meeting, 3 people speak, but maybe 8 people have good ideas. And maybe 4 people are like your guy who wants to challenge the authority on the other side. And this gives them the advantage. So I'm not giving you a real example of how to train that, but how to give, first and foremost, equal playing field to people that maybe don't necessarily have that. And maybe for those that don't have the skills, to kind of, whet their appetite in, hey, there is a way, there is a manner, because to be trained, you need to be trainable. And Andrey was very, good in pointing out vulnerability and awareness of that is the first step before you can actually train yourself. A company can spend $1 bajillion on you, but if you don't want to learn, you're not going to learn, right? So yeah, I'd say the first step to training that is the awareness and the opportunity, which has to come.
I'll jump to the first question. Are the communication mastery skills talent, or are skills just you can train them and perfect them? It's as if when I was in the fitness, I'm training with kettlebells. You know kettlebells? Yep. Yeah. I'm doing only kettlebells. Bam, bam, bam. It's complex program. And I'm just doing my stuff, having fun 25 minutes per day. I'm out, guys. I don't train more than 20 minutes per day. And I'm just hearing a personal coach, trainer, to the client. And they're just talking beside me, and I'm just swinging. Bam, 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 bam. And I hear the guy, the client. I like to have apps till the beginning of the summer.
All right.
And the trainer is just like, no problem. It's achievable. It's achievable.
You have all the apps in the world.
No, he said it's achievable, but because the trainers are very chill. Yeah. Very laying down. Don't push yourself. All right, take times, Don't rush the process. But they go, no, I need to get, it's a young guy. Yeah, apps, man, apps. I'll do apps for the summer. And the guy said, okay, the trainer, do you know what percentage, what is the chance to get ups in terms of general population? Yeah, and the other guy like, I don't know, man, what's this question? And he said, the chance to get ups is less than the chance to get a millionaire. That's statistical data. So you have a bigger chance to get.
I'm not buying that
No,
statistics.
How I feel about that.
And then, yeah, I'm just like, okay, relax. And I'm saying, what? I'm involved now.
Okay.
I'm curious to see what the
Yeah.
fuck is that, man? Like, what he's talking about? And the trainer is just hitting me with the great insight. He says, to get abs, it's not about training, and it's about eating and consistency. You can be out of the gym and get abs, but you have to be very delicate with the calorie deficits and consistency like crazy. And the point of consistency that if you are disciplined, you can be a millionaire for sure. Because to get abs, you have to be in the worst condition, which is calorie deficit, for a longer period of time. And you have to be super motivated and super disciplined to get to that. But it's possible. But the percentage is so little. And that's why you don't see people with abs. But you see a lot of millionaires around us. I've never seen more millionaires from yesterday, but I didn't see one with abs. Statistically.
Well, also statistically, millionaires with apps is a rarity as well.
Yeah.
I would say.
And that's even more
You should probably focus on either or.
yeah, that's right. So conditioning of communication skills, of course, it's possible. You can be as good as Kevin Spacey for sure. If you put the work as Kevin Spacey have put it. But we will do the work is the question. Not is it possible? It's possible, of course. It's not some crazy stuff. Probably if you wanted to become a Pavarotti, will be difficult because that's anatomy, resonance, bone structure, throat structure. Okay, yeah, but who wants to be Pavarotti? You don't need to be Pavarotti to sing nice. You don't need to be born as Kevin Spacey physically to be an animal and to play Kevin Spacey. So it's okay, of course it's possible. How to do it? Discipline, awareness, dedication, and to know why it's important. And why it's important? The second question.
But the question is
How? Discipline, training, programming. How you do abs, how you do muscles. Training, but consistent training. You have to build. It's called neuromuscular, neurochemical brain programming.
But it's still what he shared is
How to do it?
training. No, is training the same for everyone? Or
It's
you
the
should
same for
approach
everyone. It's
is the
yeah.
same with you.
The journey is different. The tactics, the how to do it is the same. Ups, push-ups, squats.
Should be the same.
Consistency for sure the same. Intensity depends on the awareness and
Yeah.
the pain point.
I think to the point of consistency, as a trainer and with training with any topic, not just communication. And this is old school HR shenanigans, but essentially, people retain very little knowledge from an actual training session, whether that was written, viewed, in person, whatever. Then they retain a bit more when they did, like, let's say, a demo or exercise in class. But practice is the element of consistency that usually I'd say misses out, because once you leave the classroom or the coaching session or the gym, essentially, the chance of you actually using those skills or showing off those abs or whatever the case is start to diminish, right? Because for communication especially, you have a lot of anxiety, you have fear of rejection, you have fear of embarrassment, all of these stuff, going back to your points of vulnerability. And again, you have to be aware of those. When you're aware of those, when you get the training and you consistently practice after you're out of the classroom, that is an ideal case scenario, I'd say.
And why do you think there is less awareness of people training their communication skills daily, consistently, while there is so much awareness about people, how to get apps and how to look better?
Well, I'd first give the word to you because I think on the front line, like in recruitment, for example. No. I have a lot to say, but I think you have better insights than me, I think.
Well, the pretty nowadays, I can say even a cliche response on that question would be the AI, the social media, like we are all in our virtual world and we communicate less, this and that. But what is behind? It's easier. We don't want to work hard. We don't know. We want apps, but not exactly. We want to be millionaires, but can it be now, like immediate, and to not work very hard? What you said, both of you, about discipline, consistency. So I think it's just easier to not put an effort. And we're human beings. We're coming with vulnerabilities, fears, ego. Let's not forget that. Desires. And it can clash. Your persona can clash. When I'm speaking now in front of Kosio, I might think that I'm someone else. But when he faces me and I see the mirror, like, I might be disappointed of myself. So it's the fear of who you really are, and that maybe you don't want to put enough efforts, consistency, to try harder. Take relationships, for example. There was some statistic lately that nowadays people are divorcing more than ever. Quick marriages, quick divorces. Why? It's a relationship. Again, something that you have to maintain. Less and less people want to engage into that aspect. Maybe I'm not the best example to speak about relationships. Me personally, I'm divorced, but
from experience,
I speak by experience. But it's real thing outside. Communication, yes. To find the strength in yourself, to put an effort, to not get pissed off from the person, across you. And really to, again, stretch that boundaries, that bandage that a rubber band that we put, stretch the boundaries, take another point. So that's why I think it's more difficult. We want fast, quick, and to go to the top.
Exactly. Comfortable. We want to be comfortable.
It's a good thing you're pointing out relationships, because I know we're gathered here from our professional backgrounds, yada, yada, but people have to realize it is your first and last interaction with people that is essentially starts with communication, ends with communication at the end of the day. And for the relationship aspect, I certainly hope, like, I got engaged last year, so I hope I don't contribute to that. But I think communication is key to not contributing to that statistic of increasing divorces. But for the actual question, why people don't engage in that topic as often, definitely there's anxiety, there's fear, there's ego. So such a big topic about ego. But I would add another point, which is people I don't think they're aware, or maybe don't care, of the importance and how it impacts. Give the example of the relationship, your daily life, how it impacts your individual career, how it impacts your business. I'll give you a quick example. We work with a client where they're a pretty nice company, have all the social benefits you can imagine, work from anywhere. What's interesting products and everything. What's more to ask, right? But they asked us for help, and when we talked to the CEO, he said, "Well, I don't feel comfortable doing conversations about performance and about salary increases and things like that. So instead, I skip them and I randomly increase people's salaries over a random period of time." So for me as an HR, this is the first time I hear about such a practice, obviously. Yes. I found it incredibly funny. But also then, of course, moving into the role of the fractional HR, it was important to underline that when you do, let's say, a salary increase, or you don't give someone a bonus, right? If you do not articulate why, then me as an employee, I don't know what to do better to get that bonus. I don't know what to continue doing to actually maintain getting those increases and bonuses. And I don't know what are like the big red flags that will lead up to maybe my termination or whatever. And that's not a problem with the employee. That's not a problem with the organization. It's your problem because it already has like increases, bonus, and everything. It's your problem by not having a simple conversation about, I'm very happy with your performance. Here are some of the criteria you did, etc., etc. And that's you can actually estimate the cost of those or lack thereof of these communications, because if you don't communicate it, people get demotivated, they might quit, right? Or they're not motivated, they don't give better performance. You start to have to hire new people because your productivity is low. So it's such a simple thing. People don't think it's important enough, or too scared, or think from the ego side that they're too good in it and don't need to think about it twice.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kunev.
Would you like to share something on the topic?
Guys, I'm just watching here the lights and the cameras, and I'm getting some crazy idea. Would you like to go crazy to this podcast?
Well,
Listen now. Okay. Now,
what is it? Yeah, tell us.
what's the point? The point is, I believe that communication is energy. It's physical. It's physical.
Mm.
And people don't want to improve their communication skills, or they don't want to communicate because they want to preserve energy. And there's a term which is called leaking energy. You're leaking energy. If you are not connected with yourself, you're not channeling, and you have blockages. Fear, like for example, if I was in a different state of being and different place, imagine a guy who has a problem with his mother, and somebody says to him, "This was very bad impression of your mother." No, imagine this scene. The other guy could be really traumatized. He could go backwards. He could become ashamed immediately. If the guy's in he starts to leak energy immediately, and everyone starts to feel that this guy's leaking energy. He's getting weaker, smaller. Silence. He won't speak. He's at the corner. But he vanishes. He is a dark hole. Why movie stars are movie stars? They explode. They are literally exploding with energy, and you are like, what the fuck is going on? Because 90% of people are dark holes. Traumas, pains, I'm not worth, I'm not good enough, I don't look beautiful. Yeah. All of these critical thoughts, hundreds, millions. And their energy is concentrating for survival. And now, if this theory is true, how we can lift the energy if you're down? Just by two things. You raise your voice, which requires energy, and you become wide and open with hands. And you say to the actor, okay, speak like this and speak with high volume. And you can do that right now, this.
To speak with.
Shut the volume, project the volume, and be open. And you see how the energy is just shooting from your spine, literally. Because it's nervous, you had to produce energy. It's a gear, you just shift from 2, 5, bam!
All right. I think I got it.
Yeah.
Would you like
I
to
think
play?
I got it, right?
Kaya.
That's my capacity for
You
now.
see, everyone has a capacity, like the
Yeah.
bondage. But
Mhm.
tomorrow, a little bit higher.
I'll try tomorrow again.
The next day, a little bit higher.
Mm.
And you start to become comfortable with yourself.
Mhm.
I think that's a very. Let me try this as well. Yeah, I can do that as well, right? But it's a thing when this also. Let me just point out, it's the setting. When you have like cozy couches and everything, you tend to be more relaxed and everything. When you go on a stage, it's a different thing as well. When you go in front of people, it's a different thing. You have more body language, you have also. But what you're describing, I really attribute really well to stage actors, because stage actors, first they need to be heard on the back row, right? But also they need, like, it's a huge stage, and even from afar, like, your perspective shrinks the person, and they need to take more space, more volume, so they're heard, they're seen more. So it's a really good exercise that you're pointing out here. There is, and about the point that they're bursting with energy, I'm not sure how close you watch like American politics, and so Stephen Colbert, like his late show, right? So Ian McKellen, the British actor, he plays Gandalf and many movie characters, but he's mostly a stage actor. He was doing an interview, and he was there's a lot of geopolitical issues in the States right now, and yes, and Stephen Colbert was looking for an inspiration of how to deal with protests and things like that, and he knows that Ian McKellen is currently doing a stage play on that subject, and he asked him, could you you have a short monologue of your character for that. He's an 80-something-year-old man, like skinny, frail, etc. He stands up, he goes in front of the camera, suddenly his voice exactly fills in the whole thing. The speech is amazing. It's like its subject is very intense, it's very important. I recommend it. He immediately was a different person, essentially, yes. And he said to the crowd, he said, well, this speech is done by a person in front of a rioting crowd, so I want you as an audience to shout at me. And they started shouting, and he's like, no, and he really bursted. He bursted on stage, exactly. Yeah.
Just needs to lose the control.
Yeah, I highly recommend that. It's a good performance as well.
Nowadays, we talk a lot about personal branding and how important that is. What's your take on that? What that really entails?
Mhm. Well, to me, the first thing that rings in my head when we talk personal branding is what people are talking about you when you're out of the room, not who you are on Insta, TikTok, on your badge at work, and all of that. This is not personal branding. I think that nowadays there is a lot of mismatch on that. And not only people to people, but I also see it in companies. They believe that if they pay gazillion time of money to do advertisement, this, that, nice, fancy videos, get a drone and make a video of the office or the team building of the team with the drone. No, this is not personal branding, employer branding, even because I mentioned companies. So it's a bit of a mismatch for me about that. Personal, it's really what you stand for, what are your values, how people are talking about you when you are not in front of them, you're not in the room. And when it comes to the employer branding, like kind of I'm expanding a little bit the boundary that you gave me. So there it's the employer value proposition of the company, and the culture inside, the subcultures inside. And another cliche, I really like cliches, like really to break them down and really put an effort to try to think what exactly they mean about that. So the cliche here is change starts from inside, right? What does it mean actually when you start thinking about it? With the companies, you start from inside, start from the employees, start from simple things, congratulate them for birthday, create something, gift cards, something small. Start from inside, as well as for the person. Start your change from inside, improve yourselves. If you're not the most interesting person in the room, okay, find who is it, find who is that person you are thinking about when you're outside of the room. Investigate a bit. Maybe be like that person for a bit. Take it as a role that you can be a next step, and shape yourself, your personal brand. So let other people speak about you when you leave the room.
I think, especially with, obviously we're on social media,
Yeah.
some for work, some not. Some social media for work became not so much for work, which I don't understand personally. But for me, personal branding, I'm definitely not an expert on the subject. I've been successful in my, let's call it personal brand, specifically, let's say on LinkedIn, in my corporate career. I was very good in understanding how, let's say, the algorithm of LinkedIn works. So I know what I need to feed to it so that I get noticed, right? So people immediately, when they heard, personal brand, they think, how many times, who notices me, right? So there's an aspect of that for sure. And the positive result on that was that for the last 10 years, I've never looked for a job. I usually got headhunted, right? So obviously I'm doing something right. But whether it's because I know what I'm doing or I just know how to gimmick the algorithm, that's another story. But for me, personal brand, and I have to refer again to my HR expertise, is I would equate it to how people should view a company's culture, right? In a company, you have your processes, this is what we do, your product, what we sell, etc. But culture is how you do those things. And for me, your CV or your LinkedIn profile, that's what you do, right? You have a list of I do this and that, yada yada. But your personal brand is how people see that you do stuff. Like, what is your, what do you call it, reputation, whether you call it, swagger, whether it is what people talk to about you when you leave the room or when you're not present, right? So because it is your image of how you do business or how you do work, or I'm saying business because we mostly equate personal brand to work related aspect of our lives. You really need to think about what is important to you as a person, like what are your beliefs, right? And we talked at the very start about feeling comfortable with those and being able to articulate those. So you articulating those in public is essentially the start of your public image and your brand. I, to this day, unfortunately, still pick fights on LinkedIn when somebody says something completely false, because I really hate false information, and nowadays it's everywhere. So I used to really like comment on every post and every section and everything. And from one hand side, some people say, okay, he's like a social justice warrior, if you would, or something like that. Other would call me an internet troll, right? So you really need to be also very careful what exactly from those. Not all of our beliefs have a place on LinkedIn. Not all of our beliefs have a place on Instagram or in our personal life or in a podcast, even, I'd say. Although, Andrey, and you have set a very good stage for us doing minor actor exercises and stuff. So yeah, I do think that personal brand is how you do business and how, as you said earlier, people perceive you as you're doing business.
I have a completely different point of view about, because
And you're the expert.
no, it's not about the expert. I spent so many hours on days, literally, watching people, just observing people, shooting behind the camera, editing them, observing them in different settings. I think the biggest threat is for a person to identify with the company. And I will repeat again, to identify the brand of the company with personality of the person. And I see it always. It's like a rule. And this is damaging of your personal life. And we live one life. The brand is staying after you die. So what is happening? You are serving with your energy, life, personality, a company, not vice versa. Not the job is working for you to enjoy that life and experience all of the flavors, colors, possibilities, but you choose to be a gray dot and staying from the beginning to the end, not to shift.
What about if you have your own business?
It's all right. You present one face for the business, another face for the event, another face for the podcast, another face for the intimate relationship. You are not a manager, a CEO with your wife, with your friends, with your kids, with on a party, in a gym. You have the kinks, you have the desires, you have all of the dark sides in any human nature. Everyone has it. And all of a sudden you say, no, I'm a politician. Good. Enjoy. Be happy. Next life. Of the successful people, yesterday with Etienne, he said, but he's a billionaire. I said, yeah, he's a miserable billionaire.
Yeah, there is this story.
So what? If you measure success with money, not with happiness and variety, where is the kid? In the kindergarten, somewhere bad in the past. Who enjoys the life? The kids. Are they businessmen? Far away. You can be a great performer, a great CEO, a great politician, a great whatever you want, but you can shift. Why we are not shifting? That's the question.
I think what you're saying is obviously very much applicable everywhere. And yes, it does have to do with the image that we have, that we transport from the workplace back home. But that's only one of the aspects of, the COVID era or the general way that we do business nowadays, that the lines between when do I work, when do I go back home, when do I rest, when do I enjoy life are so blurred that you don't have enough time to, like, you go on my partner, we go on a vacation, he's checking his laptop, he's checking his emails, right? That's an issue. To be honest, I personally am able to fully disassociate my work persona from my home persona. And honestly, I think yesterday I was joking with him because I was telling him, listen, I really need you to come to the US to shoot our stuff, right? This is my future unicorns guy. But the HR guy is like, you should stay with your family. It's Easter. You should not be in the States shooting something, whatever it is, no matter how important or not important it is. And thankfully, I don't know a lot of people from my personal life that do that, work persona, back at home persona. But I have seen what you said, when you're a business owner and your persona is then the brand also of the company, at some point, if you're a healthy founder, then yeah, that's a great thing. But if you start being the toxic presence for your company, and that does happen, then that's a problem, right? Then the company somehow has to disassociate from you, but you're controlling the company. So you need to be aware, and you probably aren't at that
Can
point.
I just be very specific? Because now I'm talking about concepts, ideas, just to show you a great example. Every brand has a voice, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Every brand has a look. It's called brand look or brand book.
Brand identity.
Brand identity, brand look, voice.
You see something you recognize.
From where all this look, voice, and of course, every brand has a feel, culture. From where all these terms comes? From humans.
We came up with
Now,
them.
look how funny it is. I can speak like that. Is it my brand? It's my brand. But if I identify as a coach, I have to speak like that till the end of my life. Correct? Of course, that is stupid.
Sound like that.
No, I'm not mocking you. I'm mocking myself that I say that I'm doing shift program and I have to be speaking like you have to do that and with low voice because I have to dominate, to show.
You have to tailor this personality towards what is accepted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can play. She's perfect. I think she can play and speak whatever she wants.
It's again, we're coming back to the beginning of the conversation of communications. I can relate to what you're saying, like literally putting different hats and being a different role persona in different situations in a way. Yes, we have to do that, and I believe we are doing it. We're humans. We're creatures that are very, adjustable, flexible. We are creatures of habits. Take something from me. After 20 days, I'll forget about it. Teach me something else. I will follow something else. That's the human nature. Like when it comes to the habits. So we play different roles, and that's okay. I believe that this is critical for our, to survive this world that we are living, especially now. So you have to play. We're all in a little bit of an actors in our lives. Communication is a big part. Personal brand is also a big part. It's what represents us. Like you said, reputation, that's a word stick to me very much. Your creativity here and how you are lifting up the energy, it's also part of your personal brand. And at the end of the day, we're all connected, right? Because we're sitting on that round table and we managed to come up with some interesting topics. And although how different we are, we found a common ground.
Sure.
I hope other people find their common ground with us as well.
What was it? The Shakespeare said, "All the world's a stage, and all the people in it actors." Right? Yeah. What do you say to people that say that what we're talking about different personas, essentially, phases that would say, "Oh, you're a hypocrite because you have a different behavior and different persona towards different people." Like I've seen many people that like working with groups, they say, I want to be authentic. I want to be myself when I'm talking." Right?
That's my love. I love this about authenticity.
Yes.
Tell us.
Imagine you're an actor, professional actor.
Everybody sure.
You are authentic human being. You're an actress and you're authentic.
Yeah.
How then actors and actresses who are professional players play different characters? Are they schizo, bipolars, mad? No, they change the voice, change the quotes, change the body language, change the circumstance. If I put myself in a scene where everybody is standing and bending on me, I am the king. Not because I play the king, everybody else play that I am the king. Of course that I will stand. Immediately. So it's so playful, everything. And there is another clashes, conflict. What is true and what is real? So you watch a movie, you start to cry. Is that what's happening over there true? Of course that it's fake, but it's so real.
Yeah, the emotional curiosity.
Emotions are real.
And people are messing up authenticity with true and real. So they say to you, you are not real, you're a hypocrite. No, you are 100% real, because that's you. You are not coming from space or that's a 3D avatar. It's you. That's 100% reality. Authenticity is always in yourself. That's identity. That's your core. Values, awareness, consciousness. But you can shift them like the bandit. Because we are creatures of imitation. And our brain is designed to be attracted of variety. Monotone. Who is the worst speaker? The guy who speaks monotone. Do. You fall asleep. Your brain is just disconnecting. It's not dangerous. We are engineering to survive. Survival means risk. Risk means something is happening always. Sound, voice, movement. That's why we are alert. If it's gray, we are just disconnect. It's not interesting. It could be very important, but I don't care. And that is the risk. If we are one through all of the phases, you will become a boring person, a boring company, a boring brand. And you have to compensate with advertisement, marketing, push.
And that does not help always.
No.
We'll finish the conversation with a short blitz round.
Oh,
So you can finish the sentence. What is harder, being consistent or being adaptable?
Oh, consistent.
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 I know I am. Not.
It's the hardest thing.
Is vulnerability a strength or a risk?
Strength.
Strength.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for joining this roundtable. If you want to
Sick.
give a last message to our audience.
Oh, thank you for inviting us first and foremost. Sorry I was late. First rule of communication, first impressions are important. Do not be late for a podcast. Here's my message to you.
Thank you as well. It was a nice setup in here, very friendly, welcoming. I hope that we had some added value for the audience. I kind of feel and believe that for each other, we already gave that to ourselves, that added value. So yeah, thank you. It's a great.
Super. Thank you for attending the podcast. First and foremost, for everybody who is watching, I think we bonded together. Different people, completely different people, with different interests, ideas, perceptions. But we connected for 1 hour. We became close to each other. We can stay here and talk for another 2 hours on a whiskey or a cigar, which is the proof that in the era of AI and the biggest disruption in our human civilization, what is valuable now is what was valuable inside the caves. People sitting around the fire and sharing ideas, emotions, stories, and the fire is firing the shadows on the wall, and everybody's watching the movie together, sharing common experience.
Yeah, kudos to that. Let's hope people keep telling stories and talking to each other more and more.
The Recursive Roundtable. 3 voices, 1 idea to decode the future.